watching Riverdance. I didn't know people still watched Riverdance.
Welcome to the review. Today I'm taking you back to the year 2003 with a countdown of the 10 biggest comedy flops of the year. Leave a comment below with which one of these you remember and which ones were actually pretty good. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Boat Trip, a romantic comedy that somehow managed to miss both the romance and the comedy.
It's a gay cruise, Jerry, not a bi cruise. It's a gay cruise. Capital G, capital A, capital Y, MC, a gay cruise, Jerry!
Written and directed by Mort Nathan, best known for his work as a writer on The Golden Girls. The film stars Cuba Gooding Jr. as Jerry and Horatio Sands as his unlucky-in-love best friend Nick.
Let me ask you a question, daddy guy. Is there a lot of sweet ass on this ship?
I'm sure you'll be very happy.
Yes!
After Jerry's disastrous proposal, which ends with him vomiting on his girlfriend mid-hot air balloon ride, the two decide to turn their love lives around with a singles cruise. There's just one problem. They get booked on a gay cruise after offending the travel agent. And from there, the movie leans hard into what it thinks is comedy, but mostly comes off as awkward, outdated, and painfully unfunny. Critics absolutely sank it. Reviews called it a lame juvenile farce, while Roger Ebert didn't hold back, saying it was dim-witted, unfunny, and too shallow to even be offensive. Made on a $20 million budget, Boat Trip hit theaters on March 21, 2003, opening against Dreamcatcher and View from the Top, and landed in 10th place for the weekend. Not exactly smooth sailing. By the end of its run, the film pulled in just $15 million worldwide, making it a box office flop that quickly drifted into obscurity. Number 9, Head of State.
We'd like you to run for president.
Of what?
The United States.
Of what?
Of America.
Which America?
North!
In his directorial debut, Chris Rock stepped into the spotlight with Head of State, a political comedy that asks one big question: what if an underdog actually made it to the top? Rock stars as Maze Gilliam, a low-level Washington, D.C. alderman who suddenly becomes the Democratic Party's presidential candidate after their original ticket dies in a plane crash. It's a wild setup, giving Rock plenty of room to mix satire with his signature stand-up style. He also co-wrote the film with Ali Leroy, the same duo who would later go on to create Everybody Hates Chris. But despite the talent involved, timing worked against it. The film hit theaters on March 28, 2003, just 1 week after the start of the Iraq War, making audiences a little less eager for political comedy.
That ain't right. That ain't right. It ain't right.
Head of State opened in first place with a modest $13.5 million, but quickly lost steam, finishing with $38.1 million on a $35 million budget. After theaters took their cut, DreamWorks was left well short of a profit.
Get out of here.
Reviews were mixed, calling it formulaic but occasionally funny. And while it didn't make much of a splash at the box office, it found a bit of a second life over the years through cable and streaming. At number 8, we've got A Guy Thing, a romantic comedy built on one of the oldest setups in the book, and unfortunately, one of the most predictable.
Gladys!
What?
Is crab medicine aisle 3 or aisle 4?
Crab medicine?
Crab medicine!
Oh, crab medicine!
Yeah?
All 3!
Jason Lee stars as Paul, a guy about to get married who wakes up after his bachelor party to find a dancer in his bed.
My fiance is on her way over here.
You're getting married?
Yeah, only if you leave really, really soon.
Assuming the worst, he spends the entire week before his wedding trying to cover it up, leading to a series of misunderstandings, close calls, and very familiar rom-com chaos. The film also starred Julia Stiles and Selma Blair.
This is Paul.
He's bald.
MGM picked up the screenplay for a mid-six-figure sum and clearly had some confidence in it, at first. But then came the delays. The release date bounced from summer to fall, and finally landed on January 17, 2003, dumping it into a crowded comedy lineup. It opened alongside Kangaroo Jack and National Security. Not exactly a confidence move. The result? A weak $6.9 million opening, and a total of just $15.5 million domestically on a $20 million budget. After theaters took their cut, MGM saw back only about $8.5 million, not even enough to cover marketing, let alone the production costs. Critics were definitely not impressed either, calling it a predictable romantic comedy that relies on cheap laughs. And honestly, that sums up the entire film. A movie with a solid cast that never rises above cliché. At number 7, we've got Looney Tunes back in action. Warner Brothers' ambitious attempt to bring Bugs Bunny and friends back to the big screen. And it didn't go exactly as planned.
Well, as it turns out, I'm secretly evil.
That's showbiz for you.
Originally, the studio wanted a sequel to Space Jam, but Michael Jordan wasn't interested. Then came Spy Jam with Jackie Chan, which also fell apart. So on the third try, Warner Brothers landed on Back in Action, a live-action animation hybrid starring Brendan Fraser, Jenna Elfman, and Steve Martin. The story follows Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, teaming up with a stuntman to rescue his missing father and track down a powerful diamond before it falls into the wrong hands. All wrapped in a parody of spy movies.
Okay, Buster, where's Damian Drake and that big diamond?
But behind the scenes, things were anything but funny. Director Joe Dante clashed with the studio. The production was heavily micromanaged, and the budget ballooned to around $80 million. When it finally hit theaters on November 14th, it opened in 5th place with just $9.3 million, and quickly dropped off, especially after The Cat in the Hat arrived the following week. By the end of its run, it earned only $68.5 million worldwide, leaving Warner Brothers deep in the red. And that's not even counting the massive marketing push, from NASCAR tie-ins with Chevrolet to toys, video games, and promotions with Wendy's, Sprint, and Six Flags. Warner Brothers threw everything they had at this movie and still couldn't make it a hit.
Sell all my Warner Brothers stock. I got an inside tip that Bugs Bunny's about to die.
And critics, well, they called it a nonsensical, hyperactive jumble, lacking the charm of the original classic cartoons. And audiences, they seem to agree. In the end, Looney Tunes Back in Action proved that even the most iconic characters can't survive studio interference and franchise confusion. At number 6, we've got Duplex, a dark comedy that proves sometimes your dream home can turn into a full-blown nightmare. Ben Stiller and Drew Barrymore star as Alex and Nancy, a New York couple who think they found the perfect Brooklyn brownstone. There's just one catch. The sweet little old lady upstairs, Miss Conley, played by Eileen Hessel, who lives in a rent-controlled unit and refuses to go anywhere. Assuming she won't be around much longer, the couple buys the house anyway, which turns out to be a big mistake. What follows is a series of escalating disasters that feel like Home Alone meets Throw Mama from the Train, but without the laughs.
Holy Mary and Joseph!
Directed by Danny DeVito, Duplex marked the end of his run as a major studio director, and it's not hard to see why. The film was plagued by release date shuffling, bouncing from February to October and then back again, before finally landing on September 26, 2003, which is never a good sign. Made for a hefty $65 million, Duplex opened in 7th place with just $4.6 million, and quickly dropped off. It finished its domestic run with only $9.6 million, with Miramax seeing back barely $5 million after theater cuts. Overseas, where it was retitled Our House, it brought in another $9.6 million, which didn't even begin to cover marketing costs, let alone the budget. Critics and audiences alike weren't amused, and Duplex ended up as one of 2003's most expensive comedies that nobody wanted to live with. At number 5, we have The Cat in the Hat, a big-budget adaptation that managed to turn one of the most beloved children's books of all time into one of the most infamous family film misfires of the 2000s.
Why, I'm the Cat in the Hat. There's no doubt about that. I'm a super fundiferous feline.
Loosely based on the 1957 Dr. Seuss classic, the film follows Conrad and Sally, stuck at home on a rainy day, when the chaotic Cat in the Hat bursts in and turns their world upside down. At first, it's all fun and games, until everything spirals completely out of control.
If this were my house, I'd be furious.
Mike Myers stars as the Cat, alongside Dakota Fanning, Spencer Breslin, Alec Baldwin, and Kelly Preston. But getting the film made was almost as chaotic as the story itself. Universal secured the rights from Dr. Seuss's widow for $5 million, plus a percentage of the gross and merchandising. After several casting changes, including Tim Allen dropping out, Myers was brought in despite having a legal dispute with the studio.
Liability issues, litigious society, frivolous lawsuits, you understand.
The film was co-financed by Universal and DreamWorks for a massive $109 million, with acclaimed production designer Bo Welsh making his directing debut. When it hit theaters on November 21st, 2003, it opened decently, but quickly lost steam. It ended with $133 million worldwide, which might sound respectable, until you factor in theater cuts, leaving about $73 million coming back to the studio.
That could have gone better.
Plus, a huge marketing campaign. We're talking tie-ins with Burger King, Pepsi, Kellogg's, Kraft, and even the U.S. Postal Service. Tens of millions more spent trying to sell the thing.
You mean like at Universal Studios? Cha-ching.
Critics were brutal, calling it a loud, messy betrayal of Dr. Seuss's charm, filled with awkward humor and bizarre adult jokes.
Dirty hoe. I'm sorry, baby. I love you.
The backlash was so strong that Audrey Geisel, Seuss's widow, outright banned any future live-action adaptations of his work. So not only did The Cat in the Hat flop financially, it basically shut the door on an entire genre of Seuss movies. Coming in at number 4 is View from the Top, a romantic comedy so bad that Gwyneth Paltrow herself called it the worst movie ever.
Paris, first class, international. It's your destiny.
This romantic comedy stars Gwyneth Paltrow as Donna Jensen, a small-town woman who tries to achieve her goal of becoming a flight attendant after watching an interview on TV. Seriously, that's the plot.
Well, I want to provide those gamblers and drunks with the best service in the sky.
The film also starred Mark Ruffalo as the love interest, Christina Applegate, Kelly Preston, and Mike Myers. Financed by Miramax for $40 million, the project began back in 2000, with an expected release of late 2001. However, this date was pushed back after the September 11th attacks, with Miramax claiming no one wanted to see a movie about the workings of an airline right now. This, of course, ended up being an excuse, because the film stayed out of theaters until March of 2003. In reality, the studio knew the film was bad, and they used this time to rework and edit the final product.
There's no business like stro business. I get to make jokes.
Eventually, the film was released on March 21st, 2003, just one day after the war in Iraq began, which was probably even worse timing. The film pulled in just $7 million on its opening weekend, placing itself in 4th. And by the end of its domestic run, it pulled in just $15.6 million. Miramax would see back about $8.5 million in returns. Overseas, the film pulled in another $3.9 million, making it a massive commercial failure. And, of course, critics tore it apart, calling it uneven, poorly edited, and simply not funny.
I invented this.
In all honesty, I never even heard of it until doing research for this video, and now I can clearly see why. At number 3, we have Marci X, a film so bad it sat on the shelf for 2 years and barely had a theatrical release.
Hi, I'm so real. Let me tell you how I feel. I'm just not very musical, although I did love Lion King.
In this rom-com, Lisa Kudrow stars as Marci Feld, a spoiled Jewish-American princess who is forced to take control of her father Ben's hardcore rap label when he suffers a stress-induced heart attack due to the controversy surrounding the artist Dr. S. To rescue her father's plummeting stock, Marci attempts to tone down the rapper's bad boy image. Over time, the unlikely pair fall in love. Financed by Paramount for $20 million, the film was actually completed back in 2001, but sat on the shelf until getting a token release on August 22, 2003. Booked into just 1,200 theaters with hardly any advertising, the film pulled in $873,000 and placed 17th for the weekend. After a 4-week run, the domestic total came to a pathetic $1.6 million, making it a commercial flop. And critics called it the year's most misguided culture clash comedy. At number 2, we have The In-Laws, a remake nobody wanted that was financed by criminals.
He's a rogue agent! He works for the other side! Call somebody!
The In-Laws is a remake of the 1979 cult classic of the same name. This action comedy stars Michael Douglas and Albert Brooks, and follows two families about to be united in marriage. But when the bride's father discovers that the groom's father is an undercover agent for the CIA, all hell breaks loose.
Buddy of mine, my friend, he was trying to take a pee.
The two future fathers-in-law end up dodging bullets, jumping off buildings, and stealing jets together, all before making it back to the wedding. Financed by Franchise Pictures for a reported $40 million. And as we discovered in previous videos, Franchise had been inflating their budgets to siphon money from investors, so they didn't really care if it flopped or not. They were eventually sued the following year and had to shut down shop. Distributed by Warner Brothers, the film hit theaters on May 23, 2003, going up against fierce competition, the comedy Bruce Almighty. And reviews were poor. The film placed 5th for the weekend, pulling in a week $7.3 million. The In-Laws finished its domestic run with $20.4 million in sales, leaving Warner Brothers with about $11.2 million for their cut. Overseas, the film pulled in another $6.4 million, bringing the worldwide total to $26.8 million. And even with an inflated budget, there's no way this film made any profit at all. At number 1, we have Stuck on You, a project from the Farrelly brothers over 10 years in the making.
Look, I'm going to level with you. Siamese twins ain't the easiest sell I've ever had.
We're not Siamese. We're American.
The movie follows Bob and Walt Tenner, played by Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear, conjoined twins who both have different dreams. Walt has a passion for acting and dreams of Hollywood, while Bob just dreams of meeting a woman. The two travel to California to fulfill both dreams at once, and comedy ensues. Written by the Farrelly brothers back in 1990, long before Dumb and Dumber. Originally, they wanted Jim Carrey and Woody Allen to play the leads, but those plans fell through. Fast forward to 2002, and after some success and a few duds, the project came back into the mix. Financed by Fox for $55 million, the studio wanted a quick turnaround, so filming began in late February, and the project was ready for release by December 12th. Opening with a disappointing $9.4 million, Stuck on You placed 3rd for the weekend. Reviews were mixed, and the numbers dropped the following weekend, eventually closing with a poor $33.8 million domestically. Overseas pulled in another $31.9 million, bringing the worldwide total to just $65.7 million. Fox would see back about $36.1 million in returns, leaving the film fully in the red. Fox was able to snag another $4 million from broadcasting fees by the TBS network, but this simply wasn't enough.
Would you like those root beers to go?
Even though it's considered a flop, I truly enjoyed this film. While it's certainly not a masterpiece, it definitely deserved better. As always, thanks for watching. And if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more videos just like this.